All right, there's a lot of talk on YouTube and all over the place, all the gaming outlets about these new upgradable consoles. First we hear about this PS Neo. That was hot news for a little while. Now we hear about this new Xbox, codenamed Scorpio. That's the hot new thing now. And all these console buzzwords are being thrown around, like teraflops and all these fancy words that nobody knew what was last generation, but now all of a sudden everybody's a fucking tech expert. Let me learn English before I criticize others, right? Everybody's now a tech expert. Everybody knows everything about, ESRAM and all this other bullshit, all these hot new buzzwords for the consoles. Whatever, Honestly, guys, I was excited for the PS Neo because, it's supposed to help VR. And from what I'm hearing now, VR is awful on the old, or I should say current PS4, which really is kind of fucked up. I really hope it doesn't go that way, because that's really going to split the market, especially for those who want to get into VR. And it's not fair to those who don't want to buy a new PlayStation but want to get into VR. Those consumers are going to be the ones who are screwed. And I think that it's going to be enough of a base to not do it. You know what I mean? VR needs to work on both these platforms, because plenty of people are going to want to buy a VR headset for PSVR and not want to upgrade, to the new PS Neo or whatever's coming out, because the fucking headset itself for the entire package is $500. Then they're going to have to spend another $400 on top of that, or whatever the console's going to cost. I don't think it's right. If the VR is coming out for PS4, it should work for PS4 and whatever else. Now, the Xbox codename Scorpio, from what I'm hearing, it's 4 times more powerful than the Xbox One, right? Which is insane. It's 4 times more powerful. It's supposed to end up being the most powerful console on the market. I really don't care what Nintendo's doing. You guys know how I feel about Nintendo. So it is what it is. I'm only talking about the 2 people that matter at the moment. So, you got this 4 times more powerful console coming out. I don't understand how that's going to work. I'm all for the Xbox One or the Xbox Scorpio, a revision of the console to come out with more power. I'm all for that. I honestly think that maybe our old way of thinking is dead. Maybe, upgrading a new console every 6 to 8 years is dead. Maybe now, with the way tech is and the way digital services are and just the way things are, this is the next step in console life, or console, I guess life, right? Like life cycle or whatever you want to call it. This is the next step in that, leading into obviously an all digital, all streaming service. I think we kind of all know that's where things are going to go. While I personally will always value physical media over digital any day of the week, despite the fact I do buy all my PC games on Steam, I still always prefer to have a disc. Nowadays, when you buy a disc, though, it just comes with a fucking Steam code, which is ridiculous. But this isn't PC. This is just PC problems. But, in general, I do prefer physical media over anything. I'm not like the collector per se type, but I do like to own and look at what I have. I like to have it on display, show off my collection. It's just, it's a gamer thing. It's just how I've always been. There is no showing off a digital collection, really. Yeah, they're yours, but they're not yours. And honestly, with physical media, it's the same way. It's not really yours, but it's more yours than it's not. You know what I mean? If all the consoles were to cut offline, you can still play your discs, whereas you're not going to be able to play, obviously, your digital version. You know what I mean? It's going to be cut off. You're not going to be able to access the server or whatever. This obviously only stands for games that are not always online. But I keep getting sidetracked, and I apologize for that. But yeah, if the Xbox One is 4 times more powerful, I do not think that can sustain having both Xbox Ones in the market, meaning the original OG Xbox One, which it will become an OG Xbox One, and the new Xbox Scorpio. 4 times more powerful, that's a huge power difference. I do not think that they can just flip a switch like with the PS Neo, where it's just a slight upgrade, enough, to handle games a little bit better at 60 frames. If the Xbox One's more powerful, honestly, it's not going to take advantage of the power, because it's just going to be too much for the developers to make both the OG version and the new version. They're going to just be able to make slight upgrades, which I think 4 times more power might be a little too much. Maybe 2.5 times is enough, but if they're just going for bragging rights and they're charging you for it and you buy it, that's on you. But I honestly feel like the consoles in general, we're moving into a new way we deal with them, a new way we handle them, a new way we purchase them, a new way we game. I think this is obviously the first step into a very unknown future because none of us really know how things are going to go from here. Who knows? Then the PS4 and the Xbox One, while they're being revised and we're getting better versions, might be the last consoles we get. You know, it might, like I said, it might go to all digital service. It's around the corner. A lot of games sell digitally. You know, a lot of companies don't have to share that information. So, you know, honestly, it's a win-win for everybody. Well, not for everybody, not for collectors, but it's a win-win in a business standpoint. It is. You know, they save money on freight. They save money on logistics. They save money on packaging, labor. They save a lot of money. And they cut the middleman out. You could buy it right from them. You know, you don't have to go to a retailer or anything like that. So in a business sense, a all digital service would benefit, you know, obviously manufacturers and benefit game developers and studios. And even if they do end up saving a little bit more money, they can cut the savings out. They can pass the savings down to us and maybe cut $5 to $10 off a price of a brand new game, which I think everybody would be cool with, you know. But honestly, I'll always miss physical media, even though I know it's going by the wayside. It's just something I'll always miss. Lastly, I've been watching videos, especially Kid Smooth's video. This isn't, an attack on Kid Smooth, but he did bring up a point which made me kind of think a little bit. He said that, you know, the Xbox One, when it becomes upgraded and becomes the Xbox Scorpio, they could lock all games to the UWP, which is the United Windows Platform or whatever it's called, and lock games onto not only Windows, but also Xbox One, because that would mean developers would have to create another type of, you know, version for the PS4 or, you know, the Nintendo NX if the game ends up coming on all platforms. And honestly, he has a point where he says, you know, Microsoft can easily, you know, enforce this lock-in and have the developers make the game for PC and Xbox One because it'll be on the UWP. It'll be a lot easier for them. And then they have to make another version for, obviously, you know, PS4. But I don't think it's that complicated, but he does make a point where Microsoft could, if they want to be, which we do know them for being bullies, they could be bullies. They could lock all games down onto it. They could all tell all, you know, developers for third parties, say, look, the games need to be UWP compatible. And it'll kind of throw a wrench in their operations, and it'll hurt PS4 because they'll have two platforms versus one, even though one is the best-selling platform. I don't know. It's a weird thing to think about, but he did bring up a good point, and it did make me think, and I'd love to know what other people think about that. You know, it's something I did read his comments, but the video was still pretty fresh. So I would love to know what people think. Do you think Microsoft could actually lock down, you know, games to a UWP platform and kind of isolate themselves and push out Sony and Nintendo? You think something like that's possible? I'd love to know the thoughts. This is Demon Ralph signing out.